assessor left and went to another jurisdiction. They set her salary at $80,000, and she resigned. She is now the assessor in Hamilton County, and her salary is $108,000. Cedar County, way on the east side, was vacant. And again, they got no applicants. There was a retired assessor that was helping them out. Kind of like what I was doing, but just in one jurisdiction. And they said, why don't you become our assessor? And she says, no, I'm retired, I'm done. Well, they finally changed her mind when the salary got up to $105,000. And she took it for 2 years. And then she's done. But I think in their plan, let's find somebody that we can groom in-house that could pass those tests and eventually say, meet the approval of the conference board to become the assessor. Ironically enough, it's pretty well known with the assessment personnel that the profession that I was in, that Sharon is in right now, they call it the accidental profession. Because you don't go to any school to learn to be an assessor. You learn by taking all these courses, not realizing, what's all involved. Unfortunately, and I've experienced this in my whole career, was that when anybody comes in the courthouse and they're not happy with their tax bill, where do they go? They go to that office. And that office doesn't do anything with taxes. All they do is set the value. The taxes depend upon what each of the taxing entities, what do they need to operate their budget to provide services to the public. And so it is something it's a growing concern. There's, unfortunately, it says, well, what's the penalty if we don't have an assessor? Well, there is no penalty other than the county auditor has to do it. And they don't have the education. You're going to get a number of strong letters from the Department of Revenue. There's no doubt in my mind about that, because I've already seen those. That you're going to have to find somebody. And how they're finding somebody is they've had to change those salaries considerably. And this has happened probably in at least 10 different jurisdictions over the last couple of years. Franklin County, the assessor retired, and they hired one from another county, a deputy from another county, and they started her at 95, and the next year she's up to 110. So the salaries are really, really jumping. So, even I'm working in Sioux City right now. Sioux City, say, as of July, did not have an assessor. I was contracted, say, by the Department of Revenue to do the reappraisal of the multi-res. Less than 2 weeks ago, they finally appointed a new assessor. And it was somebody that was qualified, had taken the test, was working in the office. Now, still doesn't have the approval from the background check yet. And they only had 2 applicants. And that salary was $137,000. So that gives you an idea of just, well, if you get the salary high enough, you'll get a lot of applicants. Well, no, you don't get a lot of applicants in that respect. So I would say that what I've encouraged people to do, what I've heard other auditors talk to other auditors, is that if you don't have a deputy in the assessor's office, you better get one. Otherwise, you're going to get a job that you don't want to do. And that way, you can groom somebody, and that's how I got started in the business, was that the assessor was going to retire, and this was in Sioux County, and I was hired for that purpose, if I met the grade, and I met the approval of the conference board at that point in time. Prior to that, I was a farmer. I had no idea that I would sit behind a desk Any questions?
So in other words, an assessor can basically hold their county to whatever their will is.
Well, to a certain extent, it is becoming that right now. I know from when I initially started, it was easier for me to do appraisals, to get into houses, to get into businesses, than it is today. I'm doing 500 places in Sioux City, and no, I don't want you in it. And unfortunately, that's the law. If you don't want the assessor's office to look at your property, you have the right to refuse. Absolutely. What it forces me then to do is I have to look from here and estimate what's in that house, what's in that business. I want to be accurate as I can be. I want to make you comparable to everybody else. But if I got to guess, I don't like guessing. And that's the frustrating part. Now, it's really commanding, and ironically enough, you think this is an Iowa problem. No, it's not. I belong to an international association, and corporate headquarters are out of Kansas City. Every assessor's office across the nation is experiencing this very same problem, that they're having a difficult time retaining people to do the work because of being harassed out in the field. There are some jurisdictions, they will not send out their appraisers alone. You will have somebody with you. And I mean, granted, when I was in Sioux City, there's certain parts of the city, you're careful where you're walking, what you're doing. Absolutely. And even though, and I just experienced this in the last couple of months, that I was looking at that house in my car, reviewing it, and somebody at the next house stood out on the front porch and stared me down. And I'm just sitting in my car, not doing anything else. And so the apprehension is there. Absolutely there is.
We've got to keep rolling. We've got
Yes.
9:15 also. So.
Okay.
This situation just isn't unique to assessors. There's a shortage of engineers, there's a shortage of appraisers, there's a shortage of cops, there's a shortage of teachers, there's a shortage of everybody.
Yeah.
So
But the
if
pool
there-
to pick from could be bigger, Ed. There's a list. There's 100 people you get to choose from.
the pool's not big in any of these professions. We have a hard time finding appraisers just to do appraisals on houses for loans.
Yes.
It's short everywhere.
Yeah. I've worked with one appraiser, and he says, you know, people invited me in when they wanted to buy that house or they wanted to get it refinanced. Now I'm on the other side of the table, and they don't want me in there. So it's a vicious cycle in that respect. So, but other than that, any questions? Any comment?
Thank you for your input. Okay, here we are. Okay, assessors 23-24 proposed expenditures.
You all have those in front of you. You've had them, for over a week. So, format's the same as it's always been, except for the fact that I put in for board of review litigation credits. I put a $7,500 in for that. And then after listening to Mel and the fact that, obviously I'm not going to be here forever. I'm not planning on going anywhere soon. But should you want to cover that base, we can always hire, train, and mentor somebody to transition into my position. That's a separate line item, salary and salary-related items to that, the health insurance stuff I can measure, so. We may address the GIS stipend. As I shared with you, I've got 53 miles and 327 parcels that I'm going to deal with yet with my GIS. 2016, I asked for $5,000 to complete the GIS project, and maintain it. I asked for 10, you gave me 5, we had a verbal contract, and it can't be part of my salary. It can be done in my office, I can do it, but it can't be part of my salary, it needs to remain a stipend. So you may or may not want to continue me doing the GIS, but if we don't, then we need to contract that out or find someone in-house that's willing to do that. But like I said, the weed commissioner's getting $5,000 stipend. So I don't really feel like this is that big a deal. I'm doing the work, I'd like to continue the work. I would hope that you would see that there's a lot of value to the GIS, maintaining that. We spend a ton of money. We continue to spend a lot of annual maintenance on that project. So we're a small county, this is how we do things in Osceola County, and so I'm just asking, let's just keep going forward with that. I bumped Mike's salary as well. He's comparable to the engineer tech downstairs. He's my assistant. We're going into possibly a heavy border review session, raising values 35%, minimum 35%. I need Mike's assistant, and maybe Mel, if I have hundreds of petitions, but I need Mike's assistant. And, you know, honestly, we have a great assessor's office, things are working, and Mel's explained salaries are low. I'm asking for an adjustment, and, you know, it's entirely up to you guys, where we go with this.
I guess the problem I have with this whole situation is, I don't know how many years I've been on this board, but every year we come here and we talk about you, making sure you got somebody in your office that can take over if you're not there. And as of today, I don't think you did one thing to work towards that.
Right, Paul, right now I'm putting that in my
I
budget.
see that in your budget this year,
Yeah.
but this is like, how many years have we been talking about that?
Part of the reason I wasn't gonna go anywhere, and I didn't think it was time to spend the money to cover that option, okay? There were a couple people across the aisle that were interested in coming over if the salary was right. You know, we've had people jump offices lately, we've had people walk out the door, but there honestly was a couple people across the aisle that were interested in my position. So there was potential there, but right now, if you wanna cover that base, then we have to hire, okay, we have to hire. As Mel said, why would anybody want the job? You know, it's not popular, it's getting more difficult all the time. Lyon County's resigned because she said, I can't do this anymore. There's been death threats and,
To go along with what Paul said, though, I've been on now, this is my 7th year. We first started, and you kind of promised that Mike, you said, Mike's studying, Mike's gonna do this, Mike's, for 2 or 3 years we did that. And then all of a sudden, about 2 years ago, I said, nope, Mike don't wanna do it, he ain't gonna do it.
well, COVID did hit, so the testing sites were shut down. But that's absolutely right. Mike sits here and sees what I'm going through. Mike doesn't want my job, okay? So Mike's out. He doesn't want my job. So if you want somebody as a shoo-in, then we have to hire, train, and it takes 2 years to train for somebody to get their appraisal experience, okay? They can't get a regular certification
I really don't have a
a
without.
problem with the 45,000 to hire and educate, because that's what we're gonna have to do. But that isn't the way we originally started this process.
Nope.
And I think we've got.
Well, I honestly couldn't talk him into it, okay? He doesn't want my job.
So somebody's gonna have to leave at some point. We can't maintain that staffing level in there for perpetuity. And you're gonna have to have an end date as if we get this other person hired and trained, somebody's gonna have to quit or retire or resign or whatever. You can't staff it with 4 people forever.
No, you can't. I agree.
So what is the timeline? If you get somebody hired, somebody's gonna have to leave at some point. Is that gonna be the deputy? Is it gonna, or Mike, or is it gonna be you, or?
My clerk would be the only one, but she's only getting 20 hours a week.
So would you still keep her if we hired another third full-time person?
Well, for a while, yep. And understand that Mike's got the appraisal experience, so the new person will be going out in the field with Mike. And so that, and if someone were to step in my shoes, they're gonna want a field assessor, or field appraiser. It's just the way it is. Somebody has to go out and collect this information so that we can process it. So, yeah, absolutely, we hire, we're overstaffed. I know it's a catch-22, I get it.
So what's the timeline in your estimation? Is it 2 years?
Well, first of all, when you see a job description, I'm not confident we're gonna have any applications, okay? And if you wanna be on a committee to get somebody hired so that we can train, I mean, I'm all for that, Ed. If you think there's a candidate out there that after you give them a job description that they think, well, heck yes, I'm willing to do that job, I'll take that job, that's great. I'll be on that committee, and a couple people on the board can easily be on that committee.
I have a question. We hire someone, you train them, they get up to snuff, and Lyon County or Ida County or somebody like that says, oh, we'll give you $100,000 if you come over here. Is there any way we can put strings on it, or is that not legal?
Yeah, it's legal. Because I know, like on the, what is it, sheriff's department, I think, when we hire one there and we send them to school and train them, they have to be there for, what is it, 3 years?
3 years. Or they gotta pay it back.
Yeah.
I don't know, are any assessors under contract for that way?
I don't think that they're really under contract, per se, even though I was under contract. But I was already an assessor before that. I think you could make that, what you talked about, as a stipulation. You know, that you're gonna stick around for X amount of years. Absolutely.
That's the only way I'm for it.
How many years remain on your current appointment?
5.
What was your question?
How many years remain on her current appointment?
So are you thinking about retiring after that, or you don't know?
I don't know.
Well, I'm gonna just jump back up to your wages. I understand all the wages that went up. But with the 6%, if I did my math right, with the 6% on your wage from last year, that brings you up to $64,500. If we give you the $7,500 stipend, that would bring your salary up to $72,000. We're about $5,000 off. That if we went just with your straight 6% and give you the stipend, that brings your salary up to, if I did my math right, about $72,000.
You're pretty close. 69.
Huh?
64.5. And what, 5,000?
Am I, does anybody else do the math there?
I got 64,554.
Yeah. So that's actually what I'm thinking, but I don't know what the rest of the people are thinking.
The mayor's got any ideas?
Cost of living went up 8%, still under the cost of living.
How about school board?
Dan?
My issue with that is the assessor's salary is what's gonna be the focus when we have to fill a position, not the GIS stipend along with it, and that's my concern. And point of contention, and maybe Sharon's right when she says we cannot have that as part of her salary. I believe this board can add a duty to that office, even if code doesn't require it. So if this board says it's something we expect from the person that fills that office, I think it can be part of that salary. I may be off, maybe Mel can weigh in on that, but
What's really
but we're also a governing board for that office, so if we had an expectation of the person filling the office, I would think there's room to, it's kinda like when we hired the engineer and we said, well, we've historically had them do zoning. We would like to see you cover that if you were hired here, so it's not a
Are
requirement
you
of the
talking about
engineer.
a future assessor, Jason? Is that what you're talking about?
I'm just thinking even cleaning up the stipend thing and being on board with the salary for the position, with the understanding that that expectation is part of this. And we
So
would
you're-
hire it the same way.
Yeah.
I think for right now, I know that, Keokuk County, the assessor gets an additional 30 grand on top of his assessor salary. Davis County, it's another 10,500.
So they're getting a stipend or something.
They're getting a
GIS.
stipend besides their salary, yes. And I would say for those jurisdictions that don't have the assessor doing it, the easiest places for you to check there would say, find out from Dickinson County, from Clay County, Cherokee County, Plymouth County, Sioux County. All of those have a dedicated person for that, and I would say that salary will run anywhere from $45,000 to $70,000 just to do the GIS part.
And you made a comment about Mike's salary, jumping up to get him with the tech we got downstairs. Well, our tech downstairs, as we understand it, guys, is he's studying to get his,
To get what?
to get his advancement. and to
Mike
get
already
his-
has that training. He works, came and he already has that. He has a degree, he goes to courses, and he already has that.
Well, counties that don't have a dedicated person for that have this farmed out to Schneider, because the only time you're using the GIS program for that stipend is for doing layers, and they have parcels in the contract where you can budget or contract for 24 hours of service for that for $3,600 a year, 48 hours to give you $7,000 is what that runs. If you want someone to take care of the parcel splits, it's about $6,300 a year, you can farm that out. So I mean, most of this stuff can just get farmed back to Schneider. They have contracts available to take care of it, if you don't wanna pay the stipend to Sharon to do it.
Giving up a lot of hours of availability, that approach.
It's, how many hours are you taking to put together a layer, and the only layer we're working on this year is that exempt river area. So I don't know how many hours you would have involved in that, but most of them don't go over the 48, some don't even go over the 24.
It seems to me you've already built it into your budget, because if you're gonna hire another part-time person at $45,000, and supposedly this person's gonna take your place, or the assessor's place, you've already got the 45 plus what we're paying the current assessor to pay the new assessor.
I would agree.
Or if you wanna go out and hack and try to find somebody else, you've got 110 or whatever thousand budgeted right now that you're gonna spend. And I mean, we're a small county, I can't believe, Sioux City, Woodbury County, look at the people you have. We have 6,000 people in it.
Yeah, I think we're the third smallest county.
And I understand the work, there's things that are required in each one the same, but you don't have the people. You don't have the assessments to do.
I would agree. I don't want to hire and train until I absolutely have to. But this board brought that up last year and
We've
multiple
brought it up for
times.
years.
But I'm not going anywhere soon.
That's good.
And you got Mel, who can step in and help you advise. It's not gonna be pretty, but I don't wanna spend the money to train. But I'm also going into a very difficult real estate year.
It's only gonna be 1 year. Well, the interest
Well,
rates have dropped. I mean, we're taking a big
well-
jump in the state because we've been low. I don't know if our appraisers have been low before. We haven't had sales, that's why. But these
Yeah, well, we
properties
don't have
probably
any-
should have brought up.
Okay, right. I think right now people might understand that we're going up and they might be significant increases, but in a year and a half, we're gonna pay taxes on that increase. And the market might be down here, and I'm going, well, if you would've sold your property in 2022, this is what you should've done. So, it's just a lot of education that's gonna have to happen. And it's gonna be on an individual basis. Everybody that comes in is gonna have to take equal time, because
You know, and you look at the taxes, look at the raises, whose name's on one of those big raises? I don't have a problem with it, we've been having cheap taxes, is that a fault of the assessor that we haven't raised? Or just because there's not been any sales in the county for 10 years? You know, I don't know, why are we fighting it now? I think it should have been higher before, but nobody complains about not paying tax.
well,
Only
you know,
when you gotta pay
we
tax.
might have been low, but we had equity, but the inflation just caught up with us. Just caught up.
I mean,
Well, what are we gonna do?
But if you want to train a new deputy, somebody's gonna have to leave that position after the person's trained. You cannot support that salary in that office in perpetuity.
I would like to see you hire somebody. That's my thought.
You would like to what?
Hire somebody.
Well, I think that's eventually, you gotta do that.
But what are we gonna do?
Her salary needs to increase for sure. I mean, we can't continue to be 84th or 98th or whatever it is, the lowest in the state of Iowa. I mean, come on.
Somebody's gonna be high, somebody's gonna be wrong.
Yeah, but why is it always us?
Because we're 97 in size.
Come on.
What I should be compared to is the assessor's salaries for the state, okay? There's other salary surveys. The recorder, the treasurer, and the auditor are between the 86th and the 90th percentile, okay? That's where they are with their peers. I'm asking to get bumped to that, so I'm equal to my peers. And I also have length of service. And the shortage that we're looking at, assessors.
Mike's right, someone's always gonna be lower, someone's always gonna be higher. I don't know that it's a competition.
But I don't think we're gonna get applicants to look at us and say, oh, good, I can go to the 97th pay county, or 99th pay county, or, I butted heads with Sharon on that for many years, and I'm starting to think that argument is losing any weight. When you look at the examples they gave, when they went vacant, they jumped from 84th to 17th, or, and you're going through an empty spell in the meantime,
I'm not arguing that, but I'm just saying, when you put the 45s of train back to her salary, you've got the money there.
Yeah.
So, get the clerk hired, that's what we are, an individual hired, I'm not sure 45's high enough to hire them.
Well, what do we wanna do? Gotta take a motion for something.
6% from the previous salaries and hire that person for 45.
Okay,
Yeah.
I make a motion, we accept the budget as presented.
We've got a motion on the floor.
Oh, I didn't catch what Ed said.
Repeat it out.
Yeah, just 6% from whatever last year's were, plus hiring the person for 45,
And the stipends.
and the stipend.
Okay, we've got a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Are you gonna leave the stipend at 75?
Yeah, for this year, because she has it being,
I'll second that motion.
she has it being reduced back down to 5 or whatever it is next year.
Mike,
Okay,
discussion.
yeah. Is there any discussion with that?
I don't know why I would wanna train somebody and not get paid to train them. You know, if we're gonna hire, and then I'm in the status quo. I'll take that, that 6% and the stipend, and I don't want you to hire them. That's a lot of extra work. What we're doing is not broken, but we're just trying to secure something for the future.
That's why we'd have to hire somebody. 'Cause for the future.
But somebody has to train that somebody,
Yeah.
that's a lot of work.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
I think the auditor's trained twice now in the last couple of years.
Yeah, why is that?
We didn't pay her any extra money to do it. We got a motion. And a second.
Any more discussion?
I think one of the documents talked about the cost of training for an assessor. Is that factored into the budget as to the budget paying for that individual to do the
Well,
test?
first
or-
we have to get somebody hired, and you need a committee to hire somebody, okay? I'll create a job description, and then you need a committee to hire somebody. That's not gonna be an easy task. Okay, you wanna throw out 45,000, well, but, here's the deal. This, you gotta be the assessor. You gotta walk in my shoes, and then what's gonna happen when they say, well, I kinda like what I'm doing, but I don't want that responsibility. I don't wanna put assessments out there for between 35 and 100%. So we get them hired, and now what? There's no guarantee, people.
So you're saying we should not hire somebody to help? Because back to Paul's comment, if you quit, we can take the 45 and the 60-some, and we can offer somebody it for 110, maybe we get somebody.
Maybe I would like that 110.
Well, you don't want to, I don't know.
Well, that's the thing, you don't have a guarantee. I mean, maybe the job looks easy, maybe it looks like a lot of fun, but it really isn't.
Any more discussion? I'll call the question. Supervisors?
Aye.
Nay.
I'm aye. Okay,
Just one nay there.
yeah. Mayors?
Nay.
Aye.
Okay, can you do a roll call on that one, Mike?
Nay.
You might have to take a roll call.
Well, I am.
Nay.
What are we voting for here? Are we
The
voting for
lower-
the way it is right here?
No, the
6%.
lower price.
Same as what everybody else got.
Plus hiring the extra person.
And the stipend.
And the stipend.
No. Nay.
Okay, school board?
Aye.
Okay. What, that's got, remember it.
I said aye.
Oh, okay. Okay, it passes 3-2. Or 3-1. 2-1. It passed. Okay,
Need a motion to adjourn?
let's see.
We're not done with the agenda.
No. Okay, approve expense fund expenditures.
We need to certify the office staff, Mike.
Okay, certify the office staff, Mike Kruger, field appraiser, Sherry is the clerk.
I like that motion.
Okay,
Second.
we've got a motion, we've got a second. Supervisors,
Aye.
mayors,
Aye.
school board.
Aye.
Okay, set public hearing for 23-24 assessment expense fund. What days are we looking at?
Well, let's see, today is the 25th, I have to publish on the 1st. And then probably the 15th of February.
That's
Or
our,
this, what's that?
that'll be our next meeting?
Well, I have to publish.
Yeah.
That happens next week, and we have to wait 10 to 20 days. So, 14th or 15th February,
Okay,
After it's published, right?
yeah. 10, and we want to
Publish it on Monday.
what,
on the 1st.
On the first, okay.
what day works the best? On the 14th or 15th?
15.
15th?
Yeah.
Okay, got a motion?
Yes.
Okay, we've got a motion for the 15th. We have a second.
I'll second it.
Supervisors,
Aye.
school, mayors,
Aye.
School board. Okay. We're set for the adjournment. All in favor? I guess Mayor.
Who seconded that one? Leroy did.
Who made the motion?
Jerry did.
Supervisor.
Jerry.
Mayors. School board. Thank you all. Just leave that.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey. Yep. See ya. See ya. Bye. Kevin gave up on us. Want some more, Leroy?
Sure, half a cup. You're a good man.
Call my wife and tell her.
You have to count that stipend.
I still think if we put it out there somewhere.
They make her work at the other places. She won't go there.
Sweetheart. You're good, I'm not sure what you're doing. You're gonna make somebody a good wife. We're gonna see some jail first. We're
Well,
gonna,
I guess so. I
we're
just
gonna
was
wait
back
here.
in a meeting.
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Kevin, quickly,
I'll be quick, I'll be
In and out of
here. Their idea was to have this delete it at 0%, or was it at 4%?
No, they took, I got,
I'm a little stressed to be here with you.
Okay. I misunderstood you last time.
okay.
I hope so.
Sure, then you walk out.
Yeah, that's what I was
And it
thinking.
wasn't said.
Hey, Kevin, you're supposed to be on that.
I just double checked.
Well, it's not that time yet.
No, it was 20 minutes ago.
Past.
Yeah. Stressful.
Okay,
How
I
you
get
want to
this.
start this morning? It's my son's birthday today, and he's 32, I feel really old today. I mean, I was 32.
You said you're 32.
I wish, I have a son that's 32, I feel really old. If I did, well, I wasn't, I was 25.
January, going there.
Okay. You gonna give us your sales pitch, Kevin?
I really don't have a sales pitch.
Are you gonna start with the agenda and minutes and stuff?
Oh,
That's
yeah,
right, you gotta do that. Otherwise I'll get in trouble. Let's stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Roll call. Jerry. Here. Leroy.
Here.
Jason.
Here.
I'm here. And it's floating here somewhere.